Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over the top 10 Halo Combat Evolved speedrun tricks. All of these tricks are super interesting to watch, especially the top 3, so make sure you guys stick around until the end of the video for those. The majority of the clips that are going to be shown in this video were taken from a speedrunner known as Garish Goblin, who is a very talented Combat Evolved speedrunner, so big thank you to him for his clips. Make sure you guys check him out, all of his links will be in the description, and without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 10 on the list is going to be the Cafeteria Bump, which is performed at the start of the level, the Moor. Instead of walking through the cafeteria and going to the brig where you first meet Captain Keys at the start of the game, we're actually going to place ourselves next to the entrance to the cafeteria, and when the hunters open the door it will actually clip us into the ceiling, which we then have to navigate across mostly paper thin geometry, which requires a lot of practice by the way, and we're going to jump across the lights in the ceiling, across these little beams that are sticking up. And then we're actually going to jump down to the section that comes just after the brig cutscene, and this saves quite a bit of time. The next trick on this list is known as the Keys or Scurty Bump, as it was found by a runner known as Scurty, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm 99% sure I'm right. This trick is performed at the very start of the level Keys, and is one of, if not the most time-saving trick in the game. We're going to lure the armless combat form at the start of the level back to where we started and perform a flood bump in order to clip through the wall, which will then place us at pretty much the end of the level, saving many minutes of time. As you can see here, I kill the flood up against this wall and then I crouch on top of its body, and then when it revives itself, it pushes you through the wall, as the game doesn't want you to be inside the geometry of the flood. And then we're just going to walk around the corner to load in the area, and then we're going to continue on to where the cutscene will be activated. All the enemies in this area will be T-posing, which is pretty interesting, pretty cool. And then we're just going to walk up this ramp to activate the cutscene, and then this will place us in the final section of the level. Because of this trick, this level can be completed in around 2 minutes and 19 seconds. I think the record might be 2 minutes 17. It takes about 2 minutes 20 seconds on average, I'd say. So yeah, it's a pretty good trick. Number 8 is going to be the Reveal Skip, which is performed on the level 343 Guilty Spark. This trick skips the reveal area where you first encounter the flood, hence the name Reveal Skip. To do this trick we just do a pretty simple sideways nade jump to get into the floor above us, or the roof I should say, and then we're going to do a jump across to a very thin wall, and then from that thin wall we're going to jump through the floor into the next section, which saves a bunch of time. We don't have to fight any enemies in the reveal area, and yeah, it's a really good trick, really useful. By the way, this list isn't in any particular order, as most of the tricks are just as impressive as the next, so yeah. Moving on to number 7, we have the AOTCR Banshee Grab. This trick can only be performed on Legendary, as I believe the Banshee isn't there on Easy, and this trick is another one of the most time-saving tricks in the game. To do it, we have to do some pretty precise Banshee manipulation by standing in specific areas and crouching at certain points in order to get the Banshee stuck above the door, which makes it flip over in order for the pilot to fall out, meaning we can then steal the Banshee and then fly all the way through to the end of the level. None of the enemies will spawn at the later areas of the level, as we have skipped so many load zones, but we are still able to complete the level, which is good. This trick requires a bit of practice, but it's not too hard to do, and it turns this level into what could be a 10+ minute level into sub 5 minutes, which is really nice. And that leads us really nicely into the next trick, which occurs a little later on in the level, and that is the Banshee teleports. What we're going to do here is first bring the Banshee into what is supposed to be the walking section of the level by flying over and under lots of invisible barriers in this hallway, and then we're going to park the Banshee in a really specific place and then melee it while walking into it in order to get into a certain position, and then when we move right into the Banshee it will then teleport us all the way through the section close to the end of the level, which saves a lot of time. That's a bit of a poor explanation on how to do it, but this isn't a tutorial, it's a top 10 list. If you guys want tutorials for all of these tricks, then check out Garish Goblin's channel, his link will be in the description. This trick isn't finished there though. We're now going to grab the second Banshee, which it quite neatly teleports us pretty close to, and then we're going to park that Banshee into another specific area, and then we're going to do the exact same trick again to teleport us to literally the very end of the level, where we can press the button and then start the next level. Pretty nice trick there, but now we're on to something even cooler, and that is the first nade stack of the video, and that is the quad nade stack on the level Truth and Reconciliation. For this trick, Garish throws 3 nades at precise areas to make them all land in the same spot at the same time, and then he'll stick a 4th nade to his foot, grab the overshield which makes him temporarily invincible, and then all of the nades will explode at the same time and then launch him all the way to the top of the hangar, which saves a bunch of time and means you don't have to fight any of the enemies in this hangar, which is very nice. Ran out of time to explain that trick as it happens so fast, but yeah, moving on. We're now on to the Banshee Clip, which is performed on the level 2 Betrayals. This trick is not as impressive, however it still requires quite a bit of practice and saves a bunch of time. This trick is done by ramming the Banshee into a specific area at this door and then twisting and turning at specific points in order to clip the Banshee through the door, which allows us to freely fly on to the end of the level. Alright, let's move on to the library flood bumps. This isn't one specific trick, more like the same trick performed 4 times throughout the same level, I think. Basically, we're going to do the same trick that was performed in the level keys, which was shown earlier in the video, but on multiple occasions throughout the level library. I'm only going to show you guys 2 of the clips as I'm lazy, but essentially we're just going to line the flood revivers up with specific points in the door, kill them, stand on top of them, and then clip through the doors. And this can be done at all the areas where you're waiting for these types of doors to open. This saves a bunch of time and a bunch of stress. You don't have to kill any of the enemies, fend them off while you're waiting. So yeah, this is a really good trick. One of the doors, and it is actually the longest door, actually has a new clip to get through that isn't a flood bump, and it's much faster. But I'm not going to show that in this video. Sorry guys, check out haloruns.com if you want to see that. Now we're on to the number 2 spot, and that is the belly skip on Truth and Reconciliation. This is one of the coolest tricks alongside the number 1 spot. It is extremely hard to learn, but with a lot of practice you can get consistent with it like Garish's. But it's so painful to learn and I don't have the time, which is why Garish is here. So yeah, thanks again to him. There's too much happening here to explain in detail what is going on, but essentially we blow up the Wraith, do some near pixel perfect inputs, and that will teleport us through the roof where we have to land on a paper thin wall and jump down onto some other walls which you can't see, by the way, so you have to line yourself up with the part of the map that you can see and navigate along these walls without falling down, which requires a lot of practice, which is why this is so impressive to me. So yeah, here you can see Garish is navigating along the walls without much guidance, just the map where he lines himself up and then does some pretty straightforward inputs. So with practice you can do it, but yeah, you want to jump down all the way through this section and then he lands back in the map, and look at him, he's not even phased by it. One absolute goat. Now just a quick honourable mention, as I couldn't include this trick in the list as it is only performed on easy difficulty runs, but this is at the same point where we do the Banshee grab on AOTCR, except because there's no Banshee on easy, we're just going to jump down the side of the cliff instead. This too requires a bit of practice, and I thought it was too cool not to show in this video, but I had to show it at some point because it's just a legendary trick, you know. It's not legendary difficulty, but it's legendary, if you get me. Just going to take this time in the video as I casually walk along the side of a cliff to say, if you guys are enjoying this video, then be sure to subscribe, because it helps out a big bunch and it means a lot. So yeah, thanks. There's also another speedrunner who I want to shout out real quick, and that is Chronos Returns. His link will also be in the description. I initially went to him for help for this video, but decided to use Garish's clips instead. But he still helps make the list, and he's a nice guy, and he's a really good Halo Combat Evolved runner. So yeah, check him out as well. We're now on to the number 1 spot, and this is a seriously crazy chain of tricks that happens. It starts off by driving the Warthog through this area, and we're going to perform the trick that I'm sure everyone tried to do as a kid, and that is ramming ourselves through this door before the door actually locks. We make it through there, jump over this elite, backsmack him, pick up some grenades, and then we're going to go straight onto this next bit, onto the balcony, drop down onto this slope, slide off the slope so we don't take full damage, and then we're going to drop down to the very bottom, and that's just skips that entire area where we get to this button. But then we're going to do the next thing, which is the craziest trick in the game, and we're going to do a nade stack like we shoot earlier on Truth and Reconciliation, except this is a 6-pile nade stack. Throw the grenades in very specific spots so they all land in the same position, stick one grenade on our foot, pick up the overshield so we're invincible, and then launch ourselves all the way back to the top. We're going to pick up 3 more frag grenades and do another nade stack, stack these 3 grenades in the same spot, and then we're going to jump all the way back up to the balcony where we started. There is actually a trick where we can launch ourselves all the way up to the Warthog, getting the Warthog through this window, but I'm not going to show that in this video. And yeah, that's the end of that trick. It launches us all the way through Silent Cartographer, and it saves many minutes of time, and it is extremely hard to do, and that is why it is the #1 spot. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.